in the chat.
Hi, everyone. This is Lisa Mizels, and you're on the Empowered Living Show. And this show is about helping you feel empowered, helping you feel like that you have the answers, and the challenges that you're going through are similar to other people's challenges. Sometimes we feel alone and separated, like, we're going through stuff on our own. But to hear the guest stories about what they've gone through and how they've come to discover their talents and gifts and how they help share their gifts with the world is kind of fun to hear, because we can all relate to that. So I'm really excited today because my guest, Tamra Fleming, is going to be talking about space and how space is the key to your bliss. And I don't know anything about this stuff, so I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. So let me tell you a little bit about Tamra. Tamra is she's a 16-year coach certified in energy-based coaching, feng shui, Chinese face reading, and is the founder of a unique style of coaching called interior symbolism, which is the practice of aligning someone's home environment with their forward vision for life and business. That is so cool.
Yes.
Energy alignment is her expertise. She's an intuitive, creative artist and deep seer. She currently works with CEOs and visionary entrepreneurs, helping them align their vision, leadership style, life, and business for extraordinary results. And I can see why you get extraordinary results. Welcome to the show, Tamra.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah. I'm really, really into what you're going to be talking about. So I want to learn all about it. So let's just start by, I want to ask you how your surroundings reveal your unhealthy patterns.
Yeah, well, maybe I could start. That'll give a really good frame about kind of the philosophy of what this is, because for years I actually was trained in feng shui. I was very interested in how space impacted your life after I learned an energy-based coaching style. And so when I learned feng shui, I took it and I went out and I started to do it in people's homes. But because I was trained in visioning first, I always start with where people want to go in their future. And so I would go to a house and I would sit down with a person or a couple or a family, and I would vision them for where they want to go without looking at the space at all. I didn't want the story of the space to taint me. So what I ended up doing is getting that vision. That would take about a couple of hours. And then after that, after I was really clear about what they wanted to create in their lives, then I would walk in the space, room to room. Sometimes I would start outside, sometimes I would start inside, and I would walk room to room, and I would begin to collect data. And the really interesting thing is that I did this for so many years that I began to collect literal patterns of people and how they live in their space. So it became like a storybook, but it was like psychological patterns in the space. So for example, if a person's, so I have to say this a little bit because this is not feng shui. It's a psychological perspective of the reflection and the mirror that the space will give you of where you've been in your past. So your space is about your past. It's not about your future. Okay, this is so important to remember this, because you can get into a lot of judgment when you start looking at your space through this lens that I'm going to show you. So what I love about my work is that I'm going to give you tools tonight that you and your listeners are going to be able to walk away and actually use in their lives to dramatically change their lives. So stay tuned, because this is awesome stuff. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, so an example of a house, let's just say that this is an easy one, but that a person is just not feeling the flow in their life. They're not feeling connected to the world, not in their community or whatever. Then the space would tend to appear very nest-like. It would be very darker. It would be, maybe there'd be covers on the window curtains. There would be things that are cluttered in the space, so it would feel very closed in and cluttered, in a way. And that would generally equates to people not wanting to be seen, not wanting to connect, not wanting to be, to reveal themselves in the world. So there are many, and throughout the course of our call tonight, I will try to give you some really blatant kind of common things that I've seen in homes that are patterns. So what I would then begin to do is walk through a space, and I would very easily do what I call space reading, which is looking at the space and reading it like you would if you were reading the palm of your hand. So every person's space is unique to them. That, there's no two spaces alike. There are no two ways of living alike. And what ends up happening is I end up extracting out and pulling issues that are in a person's life where they're stuck. So we're going to talk later about the free gift that I've given on your website. And in that free gift, it talks about this whole thing about how your body and everything in your life is really a mirror. So it's really about putting on a new pair of glasses that if you want to change your life, you can look through them with love, not with judgment, and you can be able to see some of these patterns and things in your space that are literally causing you energy leaks, causing you to be depressed, reminding you of something that you're done with or you want to be done with. When it comes, and I'll bounce back and forth, and you can tell me if you want me to focus on one or the other, but when it comes down to you have your home, and then you also have maybe a home office or an office, there are all of these things that are direct mirrors that say you're going to be successful or not. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I'll pop right over to home office, since a lot of your listeners might be in home offices. Your home office is like a place it's not a place where you crawl out of bed and you come into in your jammies and you sit there and you do your business during the day. It's a place where you create the energy and the intention behind the flow of your business. And so I, for instance, here's an example. I, for instance, have my desk oriented here so that I look out the window at the beautiful towering mountains in Montana. Why? Because mountains are powerful to me, and they mean like, whoo, and I look at them and they change, the weather changes, and I just told you there was lightning and thunder here a minute ago. And it's a powerful sign, a masculine energy that I need in my day, right? And so my office then is designed to be able to take advantage of those things. Now, I'm visual, so I like to have things out on tabletop so that I can see. A lot of people are visual, but that can get really messy and feel very chaotic really quickly. So you create organizing systems and ways, beautiful ways to store your projects, but you can keep them out on top so that they're contained, but they are also not distracted. So if I get out of control in my office, which I do, I have a very large old antique table as a desk, and I end up, working on a lot of things and putting projects all over the place without storing them in my place, then my mind begins to be cluttered. So that's just a super simple, clutter in your computer, clutter on your desk, clutter everywhere. So, and this comes down to, which we won't get into on the call, but it comes down to thinking styles, learning styles, and how you really have to operate. But when you look at your space, when you look around and you take an analysis of your space, you can simply just ask the question, what in my space is draining my energy? What do I see that is draining my energy? Okay, here's another example, because I just actually cleaned up my office, so I can give you a lot of personal examples. I'm an artist and I like to paint, so I had my easel sitting in my office facing my desk. Well, I don't have time to paint right now. I would love to, but I don't. So I had no idea. And see, this is me, and I know all this stuff, but here I am sitting here, and every day I'm looking at this easel feeling sad on some level because I can't go and paint. Then I don't have time to paint. I'm just choosing to use my time differently. So yesterday I took the easel down and I stored it away, and I said, thank you, and I will come back to you when I have time. And what that did is it's quite large, so it freed up space in my office that now, guess what I really need to be doing is laying down and stretching and doing some yoga in between my work calls, getting my body moving, right? So I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that just freed up all that floor space for me to do that, right? Super simple.
Yeah, super simple. I would love to know how, because I'm a visual person and I have piles. And the reason I have piles is because if I file it in my drawer, it's gone. It's like I don't know it anymore. Right. So what are some beautiful ways that you know of to, present things, restore things?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you need to have a surface or a shelf where you can do that. Okay. So something new that I just acquired was a really small shelf that had the perfect size wicker baskets for it, and I I go to, World Market and places like that. I'm always looking for the perfect file bin. And, if you have something like that you can still see the papers. So what I do is I take a bin, I take all of the papers that are related to that project, I put them in that bin, and then I put a clean, fresh piece of paper over the top of it that says what that project is. Then, because the truth is, thinking styles, you already have most of it in your head, but you don't trust yourself. And if you need to access it, right, if you need to get it, you can see where that is. So I also do that with clear plastic file covers. They're kind of hard to find, but you can get them usually at Office Depot or Staples or wherever. And I do the same thing. I put all the papers in that clear folder, and then I put a clean piece of paper over the top with the name of the project.
That's okay.
So that it's because, you really probably don't need all those papers, when you clean them, right? And you do kind of have to discipline yourself to go through periodically. I say once a quarter in your life, spend a Saturday and clear your office, clear it out, because, life is busy and we pile and things like that. But piles totally drain your energy. They are a complete energy leak. And it's like knowing that everything you need is on the internet. Everything you need is on the internet, pretty much, unless it's a workbook you got from someplace or something like that. So if you start to begin to trust that you're going to find those materials again, or whatever it is, then you can start to just shred, toss out, nixay, right?
Yeah, it's incredible, because my kids are in their early 20s and they don't keep anything. They're like, they've got access to it, so they don't need to keep everything. And I'm their mom, but don't you want to keep this? It's like, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let me add one thing that's really interesting about clutter things. First of all, you're dealing with learning styles, with whether you're visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, you need your hands on it. The next thing you're doing is another learning style to look at is global or linear. So people who need a big picture of something before they can drop down into it, or they need the steps. So those all have different organizing strategies for people. Then there was another one I was just going to think of. I'll come back to it.
Yeah,
dropped my train button.
I know. I interrupted you. Oh, no, I
know.
Okay.
It's thinking styles, and I when I work with people, I integrate all this, right, just kind of intuitively. But the other thing are the 5 elements that I do draw out of feng shui: fire, water, earth, metal, and wood. And the fun part is you are predominantly probably 2 of those elements. Those elements will dictate your style of decorating and your style of living. For instance, an earth person, when clutter clearing was such a big deal, or, whatever, we get into talking about minimalism or something like that. An earth person is a person who generally weighs a little bit more. They're a little bit rounder. They're grounded. When you come into their house, they want you to sit down on their fluffy chair, and they want you to eat their food and chit chat. And that's an earth person. And so if you take too much away from an earth person, it will hurt them. So there's no one answer for every person, but there is an answer for understanding who you are and what you in particular need. So when I used to do organizing systems, the organizing systems were absolutely based off of your thinking style, your patterns of movement in how you use your space, and all the things that come, when looking at you as an individual person, even though there are types.
Yeah. Very cool. I love this. This is great information. Okay. Do you want to just go on, or do you have?
Yeah, you asked me the question, and I don't know if I answered it, which is, how does what surrounds you reveal unhealthy patterns?
Yeah.
So let me just quickly answer that. Unhealthy patterns are habits that you have. And if you just sit back and you look at your space and you ask that question, not what's really leaking or draining your energy, but what are you doing that's causing you to sit a certain way, walk a certain way, interact with your stuff a certain way. If you step back and become an observer in your space, you can start to see your patterns. And then the question is, which of those patterns really are serving me in terms of accomplishing or getting where I want to go with my work, or my life? For instance, my personal life, I sat on the sofa last night in my partner's spot, and I hadn't sat there. I don't know if I've sat there since I moved in with this person, right? And I was sitting there and I was thinking, wow, everything looks different from this spot, and do I like this spot? No, I don't like this spot. So because it's straight across from the large TV, right? So I have my cuddle spot, right, with my blanket and my little zone, right? So, but it's worth looking at those habits that you have with your space, because while some of them may be out of good habits, out of convenience, some of them can be disruptive or harmful to your relationship, harmful to yourself. Where do you eat? Do you eat sitting up or standing up at the kitchen bar, or do you sit on a stool, or do you sit down at a table? See, that right there is a pattern that could be not good for you. So it's worth just getting in your helicopter and rising above and looking down at how you live in your space and seeing what you want to shift. Promise you, when you shift your life, when you start seeing this stuff and you shift some of these things, your life will change. And this life space mirror that happens is so direct. I could talk for hours on this, but let me give you one more example. I do a thing where I read couples' nightstands and tell them about their relationship.
Oh gosh.
Ooh, right? And so, right? Yeah, everybody freaks out a little bit, right? Well, a lot of my work as I worked with couples is standing over the master bed, because, I used to have a saying, I will get in your underwear drawers, so don't get too nervous, because what we're doing in there is we're trying to improve their life, their relationship, or whatever. And I take that very seriously, but I also try to make it fun. So the nightstand reading is fascinating, because if you look at what's in and on someone's nightstand, you can tell a lot about who they are in their intimate life. You can tell if they're disconnected in their relationship. How? Well, I have run across so many women's nightstands who are just piled with stuff, like stuffed animals and books and all the thingies you have to be cushy, And yet what that is really saying is you're filling your intimate life with all of that and not your partner. Or a man's nightstand who, I got into this, the first nightstand I ever saw, there was nothing on it. And I thought, and hers was kind of like what we're describing with all the stuff. And I said, tell me about your relationship. I was doing the appointment with her alone, which I don't do anymore. But I said, tell me about your relationship. And she said, oh, well, we're probably going to get divorced. He's not going to live here anymore. And I'm like, right, right. Yeah. Okay, there you go. So and people kind of go, when they think about that. But if you really look at I did last year a nightstand review, and you can see the patterns in people's lives that aren't helping them. So
that's very
crazy.
cool. God, I could talk to you forever. So, yeah, tell us about hidden messages in our beliefs. I don't think you've talked about beliefs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a little bit deeper look at what we're talking about, because this is where it helps to have a little bit of space reading experience under your belt. But when I go into a space, I go in judgment free, and I look at things with really fresh eyes. So you can do this too if you step back and you look at things and start asking different questions. So things will call to me, and I'll see something and I'll say, so tell me about that thing. Where'd you get it? What does it mean in your life? That kind of thing. And so for instance, a couple had an old antique grand piano, and it was sitting in the family room, and it was cluttered, and there was a cat box underneath it. No one used it. There was crap sitting on top of it. And I was super curious, because this is a beautiful old antique baby grand piano. So they told the story, and it was a family heirloom that they didn't know what to do with. And they didn't want it. It was totally clogging up their whole scene. And so we talked about it and explored it, and out of it came a story of healing in their family. So those are the hidden messages that are inside of things. We think that they're in the things, but they're actually in us, right? You hear that thunder? Woo!
Yeah.
And so we explored it, and they found somebody else in the family who really wanted it. And there you go. Now it's in the right home, and it's cherished, right? So things have power that you give them because of a memory, because of where you got it, who gave it to you. Everything is live. I believe that everything is live. And so you have to sometimes explore what those hidden underneath messages are, and what your beliefs about those items are. I tell you, people just didn't want to go to therapy. You just go through your house.
Yeah, really. That's great. So we have about 5 minutes left, and is there like I know you have a gift for us, but is there like a down and dirty how to go through your house and heal?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So the gift is this ebook on your site, and it's got a way. It's a vibration, what I call the vibration meter, which is to walk around your house and actually retune yourself to look at things and give it on a vibrational scale, give it a number. And then if it's below a certain number, get rid of it.
Wow.
Beauty has a very high energetic vibration. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what is beautiful to you, and what isn't or doesn't have any meaning, get rid of it, because it's taking up space for something new to come in. Follow the laws of the universe, where if the universe feels a space, it wants to fill it in. So for instance, if you want a new sofa, but you just haven't been able to let go of your old sofa because you are in scarcity and you feel like you won't have the money to go buy the new sofa, let go of the sofa. I promise you the new sofa will come in.
Yeah, and the things like, somebody gave me this and they're dead now, and I feel responsible for keeping it because it's a memory or whatever. Those things are,
No obligation. No, not. This is you, your life, your vibration, your space, your world, and it matters. It really does matter. And I wanted to mention too that in the free handout there is a correlation to the body you might be interested in. Yeah, which is, I'll just kind of flash this up so you know what it looks like. But I relate your house space to your body, because your house truly is your larger body. And so if you're having health issues or you're addressing things, you can look at things in relationship to that map and start to ask yourself different questions to make changes too. So there's a lot of different ways to go about, getting into it.
I love it. Oh my God, I could talk to you forever. This has been such a great little teaser, teaser talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the free gift is going to be on the Empowered Living Facebook group site in the file area, and it'll have Tamra's replay and the free gift link. And I'm excited. I want to go get it right now because this is stuff that's I think is so cool and interesting, and it's real. It's it's true. It's real. It makes a difference. And I'm looking at my cards from my last networking event that are sitting on my desk, and all the piles, and yeah, I got some work to do here.
Yeah, just be easy, because when people like actually hear what I'm saying, they go, "Oh my God, I have so much work to do," and you're not coming to my house, right? Well, just take one small area at a time,
Yeah.
and I think I mentioned that I'm working on an ebook an ebook that's coming out called The Language of Furniture, because your furniture is really alive and it has personality and it talks to you. And so another really fun way to go about through your space is to look at the furniture, just tune into it with your heart and say, do you want to be here or not? And if you do, are you in the right spot, or do you want to be someplace else?
Yeah.
And your furniture, you'll start to feel into the dynamic that we're talking about of your house being a real live living organism that you can move and morph with your life. When you change, your space needs to change, and you always feel like you need to clear clutter or do whatever when you go through change because of that. So spring cleaning is a good example of coming out of the winter and wanting everything to be in fresh new order.
Wow.
It's because it's a living organism that's true. It's not stagnant.
Yeah.
So that's important to remember.
That's great information. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. This has been a long time. We connected back in what, March?
Yeah, a long time ago. I forgot. I'm like, what? Yeah.
I know, it's been a long time. Well, thank you so much for being on. I really do appreciate it, and this is great. And people can learn more about you at your on your website, which is
Tamra Fleming, TamraFleming. And right there's not a lot of space stuff up, but I do have Facebook pages. If you look up my name on Facebook, you'll find my space pages as well.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, and then maybe I'll post those in the free gift area. So, all right. Thank you so much for being here. And you too, Maggie. Thanks for assisting. I appreciate it.
Hey.